Wait, am I really not subscribed to Shoddycast? Because that's weird. What the hell? I hit that subscribe button. Oh my god, have you seen the Star Wars trailer? I know you have.
I did.
What did you think?
I mean, I thought it was fine. I'm not like blown out of my mind about it, but
I'm excited. It looks good. That's all I want is
well, I mean,
something better than
I'm
the
very excited,
prequels.
but like a lot of it is kind of out of context for me to like grasp it right now. So I'll just wait until a little bit later. We streaming now, right?
Yeah. Do you want to post the link or should I?
You should probably do it.
Alright. Yeah, because then I can finally delete this bad link out of my phone. Because I don't know how my phone saved it as, like, without the last underscore, but it did.
I don't know. Alright, let's get this going. Yeah.
Oh shit, I was streaming that Chargers game? Fuck, I need to upload that. Alright. Welcome to Around the League, Nsml Around the League Week 10. I'm 2D.
And I'm Relicress.
And this is everything that's happening around the league. Where do you want to start, really?
Well, I have my screen set up to the AFC North here.
Alright, the standings?
Taking a quick, like, grasp of the divisions. I know we went through our predictions, last time, right?
Yeah.
So, just give me your thoughts on how you think the AFC North is shaping up.
I think that race got a little tighter because the Bengals lost the game. They're 5-3 now, and the Browns won 2 straight. So the Browns are 5-4. We're waiting to see what the Bengals are going to end up doing. They're only half a game up on the Browns now, and the Ravens are only a game and a half back. So.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I feel that anybody can win this race because we were talking earlier. Nobody is technically out of the playoff race yet. You know, the Steelers are 3-6, but if they get things rolling, you know,
everyone's
they could
just kind of hanging around there.
Yeah. Just punch everybody in the mouth, especially in this division with, you know, the Bengals and Browns, you know, kind of hovering at those 5 wins. But, I mean, the Browns do face the Steelers this week, so...
That'll be an interesting one.
I am excited to watch that game. Well, okay, let's go with the AFC South. Very tough division, almost very similar to, the AFC North, but obviously those Titans aren't going anywhere.
It looks like the Colts.
Your thoughts?
The Colts have lost their grip on the division. They've lost 2 straight. The Texans have won 2 straight, and the Texans look like they're going to try to take control this week. There's been there's been a regime change in Indy, as well.
Oh yeah, you know, but I feel the Colts are I think they're going to be an 8-8 team from how they played the last couple of weeks. Now they're on their bye week, so they could potentially get some help if the Texans do lose this week. But you also have the Jaguars hanging in there.
The Jaguars, yeah, they have actually played. Like, if you look at their points scored to allowed, they're not indicative of a normal 3-6 team. It's only a 4-point difference. Whereas, I mean, you look at the Colts, they have got a point differential of a much worse than 4-5 team.
But yeah, right now, about like this week, the Jaguars did lose against the Ravens. You know, two teams that are basically in the same position. You know what I mean? But the Jaguars just needs to find a rhythm going.
We just had a message in from our Colts coach, and he says, "Let's go Colts."
Let's go Colts. I
like that enthusiasm.
Gotta rest up on that bye week.
I mean, this is anyone's division. The Colts are only half a game back, and the Texans, they're right at 500. I think 9-7 wins this division. That's my thoughts. I think 9-7 could win this division because every team has their flaw. The Texans, they have a good defense, not very strong on offense. The Colts are strong on offense, not very strong on defense.
Oh yeah, and that's especially prudent in the point differentials. You know, you see the Colts with allowing over 240 points.
Yes.
But they lead their division in points
scored.
For, so it's gonna be interesting.
For tiebreakers right now, the Texans have the better division record at 2-1, while the Colts are 1-2.
Oh, yeah.
So that could play into it as well.
It really can be down to that last matchup. But we'll keep an eye on that much later. The AFC East, a lot of things have changed the last couple of weeks. Where the Dolphins and the Patriots were neck and neck. 5-1, but the Dolphins have dropped off at that point, losing 3 straight, and the Patriots are they've won the last 4 games. What are your thoughts?
Injuries seem to have caught up with Miami. They didn't have Tannehill, and let's see who are out now. I mean, they were missing multiple starters going into that Patriots game, and right now they are missing. If this will come up, they're missing no one, so they're finally fully healthy. But I don't think that they can catch the Patriots at this point. New England has jumped out to an 8-1 record. I think the Dolphins are good enough to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're good enough to catch the Patriots.
I agree with you. But another interesting thing that we kind of looked at last week is where the Jets were, I believe they were 0-6, and now they're 2-6. They've won 2 really close games against, I believe the Rams. I'm not really sure.
The Raiders. I know they beat the Raiders.
Yeah, I know the Raiders, and that was an extremely close game. Or looked to be close, but they could potentially kind of make a run. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see. I know the Jets do I believe they face the Bills this week. So things could change.
Well, the Jets, if they're gonna make a run, I don't think they can squeak into the playoffs. They've got a very tough matchup with the Texans on the road week 11. And they're on the road week 15 against the Cowboys, and then week 16 they got the Patriots. If any team can pull an upset at home against the Patriots, it's the New York Jets. But I don't think already at 2-6, they'd have to potentially win 8 games, maybe 7 to make the playoffs. and those are three
I
potential
agree.
losses right there.
Right now, I think we're halfway through. I think they'll win probably at max 4 or 5 games, to be honest. And it just really comes down to the games against the Patriots and Dolphins that it can really shape up.
Oh yeah, they're the team you don't want to play because
Yeah.
they have spoiler written all over them. There's no quit in New York. They don't care that their record is 2-6. They're playing for the week. They're playing each game. Each game is a 1-game season for them at this point. So moving on to the AFC West.
Yeah,
Or-
AFC West, still one of those the same division with over 500, teams. All of them can potentially, step it up and become a leader. The Chargers have win 3 straight games. The Raiders have lost 4 straight. The Chiefs have won 4 straight. And the Broncos are still going strong. Had a tough matchup the last couple weeks, but they have to face against the Chiefs this week. So what are your thoughts on this division right now?
At this point, I think the Broncos are still the team to beat. I mean, obviously they've got a 2-game lead, or 2.5-game lead. The Chargers have already played this week and they won.
The Chargers
they're
have
in
a bye week.
Oh, they're in the bye week? Okay, my mistake. My mistake. They are in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny at this point. They're 7-1. All they have to do is win. How many games do we have left to play? 8 games. All they have to do is win 6 games, and they've won the division. The Raiders and Chiefs are really interesting. They are mirror cases. Both teams at week 4 got new coaches and have gone in the opposite direction since. The Raiders have lost 4 straight. The Chiefs have won 4 straight. What are your thoughts on that?
It's kind of funny, and it's kind of nerve-wracking, because right now the Raiders defense is just not playing the way that they should. They have a strong 3-4. They have some young players in Khalil Mack and C.L. Moore and Mario Edwards Jr. Some good players and also pretty fast cornerbacks, but they just need to, mix up the personnel. Those linebackers are young but unproven. You know what I mean? Just mix it up. Maybe try some a different playbook, different players, different formations.
Something to get a spark.
Yeah, there's something to get a spark going. But when it comes to these Chiefs, really dangerous. They cut Alex Smith. I believe they were signed by the Packers recently. So they're going with Aaron Murray, who I believe a few weeks ago had 6 touchdowns. Against the Steelers. So he's really sparking this offense into playoff eligibility. So I don't. But they do face a tough Broncos defense, who are at least tied with turnovers. The most turnovers, I believe, 6 fumble recoveries, and 17 interceptions. So it can be really tough for the Chiefs this week, but we'll see how that plays out in about an hour or two, because that game is going to be set in about an hour and a half or so. But we'll see. All right, next up, NFC North. Everybody's on a losing streak, unfortunately, in this division. But the Packers still have a great lead. Still have that great offense. With Aaron Rodgers, and Jordy Nelson, and Devontae Adams. I saw last week got into the mix a little bit. And then of course there's Eddie Lacy, who leads. I believe he leads the league in touchdowns. With like 100 or something. It seems like, I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown a lot of touchdowns this season because the receivers, they keep getting tackled inside the 3 and 4 yard line, which is Eddie Lacy territory. He's run for 13 touchdowns this season, which is still the NFL lead, but we've got 3 very good running backs behind him tied at 11, and then CJ Anderson at 10. So it's not per se going to be his touchdown king. I think the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Lacy could break the touchdown record if he's practically on pace.
I wouldn't go that far because it's been very hit or miss. I mean, he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown the last 2 weeks, and the Packers have lost the last 2 weeks. So if that's an interesting note. If Packers are 6-0 when Eddie Lacy scores a touchdown, at least one touchdown. And both of the losses were on the road, so I bet they are looking forward to getting back to the friendly confines of Lambeau Field. But I don't think anything's changed in this division. The Green Bay has the Lions up next, and pray for the Lions. Pray for them.
Yeah, pray for the Lions. Right now they're one of those teams that it's just not looking well.
They're trying to catch. They're hoping Chicago wins so they can get that number 1 pick, because while the Jets are 2-6, as well as the Lions have shown no fight. No fight.
Especially the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Alright, the NFC South. The Falcons finally lost. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have to say that was under an interim coach. Swoosh had to missed the game with an undefined illness, was not able to be on the sidelines. And the interim coach, he did not do well. I mean, they almost won. It was 24-21.
They did.
But
they were neck and neck, I
they're
believe the 49ers had a lot of troubles.
They're definitely looking forward to having their coach back on the sideline with that clipboard. Panthers.
What do you think about the Saints, though? We'll get to the Panthers in a bit, but what do you think about the Saints, though? 2 straight wins, a new coach.
They're one of those teams that I think they've got spoiler written all over them. You don't want to face them late in the season, trying to make the playoffs, because while they may be out, they're looking to take you with them.
Especially if you're the Buccaneers. Buccaneers and the Panthers. I believe, I know the Panthers and Buccaneers face in the last week, in week 17, which that could define the wild card spot, in my opinion. But yeah, those Saints, they're rowdy. They're itching for that win. But they're far from playoff eligibility right now.
It's too late to be thinking about playoffs at 2-7. As Morris said, playoffs. Exactly. The NFC East is still hard to call. The Cowboys, they're on a 3-game win streak. So I will say I feel like this is completely theirs because they have shown the most fire out of the teams. What are your thoughts?
I agree. The Cowboys have just been relentless. But what's more interesting to me is the Eagles and the Redskins. The Eagles, they lost Sam Bradford against that game against the Cowboys. So I'm wondering who will step up to be their quarterback? What are your thoughts on that?
Whoever was the interim coach needs to be fired immediately. Why would you run Sam Bradford on option plays? That was just the most needless injury. Time and time again, they had him run option keepers, and that's what got him hurt.
I agree. I agree. It's very tough. But Washington and Philadelphia are kind of in the same boat. You know, unsure quarterback play.
I mean, Sam Bradford, he comes back this week, so the Eagles won't miss very much.
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, so I mean, there's really not much to say. It's really close. Anybody can win it, except for the Giants. The Giants are practically we have the #1 pick for right now. I believe they're out of. If they lose one more game, they're out of it.
They're out of it now. They are trying to put on their best zombie impression with the Bears. They're 1-9. The Bears are 1-7, I believe. Yes, the Bears are 1-7. They have lost 9 straight. They just send them home. Just send them home. Give their opponents a W the rest of the way.
I agree. I think they'll be the 1-6, the 1-15 team this season. What are you? Okay, NFC West. Well, the 49ers came out with a huge win against the Falcons. The Rams still middle of the pack. Cardinals are getting a new coach soon. And the Seahawks, they've kind of fallen off their high horse a little bit, you know. But the Cardinals and Seahawks face this week. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think either of them will make the playoffs. The Seahawks, after losing the Super Bowl last year, they looked to be the classic kind of like ebb of the talent flow. That this year was going to be a down year, and it's hard to avoid that Super Bowl hangover. I mean, the Patriots were the last team to make the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl. And after that, you have to go back a decade to find another team that lost the Super Bowl and made the playoffs the next year.
I agree. Well, there was a team that did do that, who lost to the Super Bowl but made to the playoffs the next year, and that was the Broncos. But of course, we all know that story where the Broncos, lost in the first round. But
oh yeah, I forgot about the Broncos. God, that was how much that game against the Colts, you wanted to block it out of your memory. You didn't even know. It's hard to remember they even made the playoffs the next season.
Exactly. But so all right. Well, I'm looking at the updated playoff picture. We have for the AFC, we have New England still top spot. We have Denver still top spot. I know New England and Denver will be facing in a few weeks. I believe week 13 or somewhere around there.
Yes.
Or no, week 12. Week 12. I'm noticing the schedule. So that could shape up the AFC.
That's the de facto battle for the #1 seed.
We have the Bengals, and then we have Houston sitting in the 3rd and 4th seeds for division. Still, anybody can really, jump into those spots. And right now the wild cards are San Diego and Miami. But we talked about who we thought was gonna win the division, or become playoff teams. And right now, it's very similar to when we talked about, but a lot can happen. NFC, you have Atlanta, sitting in that top spot still. Even though they lost, they're still sitting in that top spot. San Francisco is sitting in that second seed.
Actually, San Francisco is in the 3rd seed. They're half a game up on the Packers right now, but the Packers own the tiebreaker.
Oh, do they? Did the Packers beat the...
Yes, the Packers beat the 49ers head-to-head in Santa Clara.
That's interesting note. But, still, though division leaders, like you said, and then there's the Cowboys, who are sitting comfortably. And the wild card is Panthers and Eagles. So there's really not much to really discuss because it's all the same as last time. But I'm expecting things to change dramatically this week with Dallas and the Buccaneers, who are vying.
Dallas is trying to.
Buccaneers should be in
they're in the wild card spot, but for the moment, because the Cowboys, they're looking to strengthen their hold on the NFC East. The Buccaneers are just trying to stay alive in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. But now looking at the matchups this week, what are your top 3?
See, first we got Dolphins-Eagles. The Eagles are trying to get off that 2-game losing streak and jump back into the division race. Dolphins trying to end their losing streak and stay alive in the wild card race, and possibly the playoffs, or I'm sorry, possibly the division. The Chiefs-Broncos, that is an interesting matchup. So you've got the Chiefs, they're on that 4-game win streak. We want to see what they do against a tough opponent like Denver. And lastly, Texans-Bengals. Texans trying to jump out, get above 500. Cincinnati just trying to hang on to that lead in the North. What are your games?
Well, right now, I'm gonna have to agree with you on the Texans-Bengals. That's one matchup that could shape the AFC for the 3rd and 4th, third and 4th seed. The Bengals, I'm hoping, they get it together because they've lost the last couple games. Houston's, becoming really getting up there, leading that South. But I do feel that the Texans will win this game. Unfortunately, that's how it is. I just feel that's gonna happen. I actually think, let's see, the Browns Steelers, who the team they're actually playing right now, this second, I think that's a good matchup. It might not be like one of those, high scoring games, I don't think, but I see it as a potential, playoff dream, or dream breaker, or whatever, dream killer, for either team. Whoever wins this game can potentially end the other team's playoff hopes. But I'm thinking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm thinking that they'll come up on top on this one, and then my last one will be that Chiefs-Broncos game. Very unknown to who could win. I mean, Broncos do have the better record. They have been having great play with Peyton Manning, C.J. Anderson, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and that defense is really stepping up. Not in the sack department, which I hope will change at some point. Gotta remember, Von Miller is injured. He's injured for the next 7 weeks.
Ooh, Von Miller went down?
Yeah. So Shane Ray is getting the start at right outside linebacker, and DeMarcus Ware is switching to that left outside linebacker, filling in for Von Miller. So we'll see how it goes this week. But those are my top 3 games. I do like how you put the Dolphins and Eagles in there. You know, that game is really interesting to see. But I don't know how much it will determine. I know if the Eagles do win, they could potentially step up against the Cowboys. But those Dolphins are falling fast from the playoff contention. But it's anybody's game, really. So let's go to the
awards races.
Yeah, let's go to the awards races here. How about you do the NFC, and I'll do the AFC. Well, let's look at you do that, like the NFL leaders, okay, and then I'll do the coaches. The coaches in AFC, you do the NFC and NFL.
All right, first for the MVP.
I'll leave it to you.
The MVP race, we've got Tom Brady. He's number 1. Matt Ryan, number 2. Peyton Manning, number 3. I think they're all interchangeable. It's pretty much going to come down to, I think, which team has the best record by the end of this. All the teams in this, all the quarterbacks in this race, their teams have only 1 loss. So it really looks like it's going to come down to that.
Who do you think will win?
Let's just take your pick at this point.
All right. The coach of the year right now, it's Bo Badisi. Anyway, Falcons coach. 8-1 so far, doing amazing stuff. Then we have Sigmund Freud, 6-2. Still number 2, still kicking it. We have King Fulham in 3rd with that great Patriots, team. Black Dynamite, number 5 or 4, my bad. So they're getting up there, and then number 5 is the Kingpin forever. 7-2, recently beat the Falcons. So, but there are a lot of good coaches out there. I mean, we see Courtney Wiggins, the coach for the Jaguars. He's top 10. I mean, can't believe it, but he's in there. DZ Hendricks for the Ravens, he's in there. And Steven Richards for the Broncos, he's 6th, which is kind of surprising in a way, but it is what it is. All right, let's go with the NFC now. I'll leave it to you.
Offensive Player of the Year, we've got Tevin Coleman. I feel like it's going to come down to whoever doesn't win the MVP, because I know Tevin Coleman and Matt Ryan are both in the MVP race, but Tevin Coleman's going to miss the next 3 weeks, because usually they don't give the Offensive Player of the Year to the MVP, so I think it's going to go to Tevin Coleman. Defensive Player of the Year, we're probably going to have to go with another Falcon. We got Vic Beasley, but I mean, Luke Kuechly scored 2 touchdowns last week. Could be creeping in, could be just one really great week. For Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's got to be Tevin Coleman. He was on pace to break the yardage record as a rookie before this unfortunate injury, but he's still going to outpace everybody for yardage. So we got Jameis Winston and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, I just don't think he's getting enough usage to get in there. Defensive Rookie of the Year, it's going to be Vic Beasley Jr. because he's on pace to break the sacks record. And as a rookie defensive end, I can't see much better than breaking an all-time record that's been up for, I think it was 2000 when Michael Strahan broke it with half a sack. Best quarterback. This is the one that could see a lot change in the NFC, because right now Colin Kaepernick is leading. Then you got Tony Romo, Nick Foles, and Aaron Rodgers in fourth. Aaron Rodgers had an awful game last week, but it was just 1 week. So I think he's going to creep back in there and give Colin Kaepernick, who's been putting up a lot of yards for the 49ers, a lot of yards, a run for it. I just think right now the only thing that's separating him is Aaron Rodgers. His touchdowns are going to Eddie Lacy at the moment. Best running back? I think Tevin Coleman. Eddie Lacy's in there at number 2, but I think that's more of he's got the most touchdowns, so it's throwing him in there. But Tevin Coleman, he's had just 2 more carries than Eddie Lacy and almost 600 more yards. For wide receiver, we've got Julio Jones, Jordy Nelson, Dez Bryant, Deshaun Jackson. I don't have the stats up. Do you have the stats up for this?
I do not. I'm actually looking along with you on the...
Oh, okay. Let's go look at this wide receiving race. I don't know who's got the lead stats-wise. So let's see. That didn't work. That didn't work either. Come on. Come on. Oh my, everything's just going wrong. Jordy Nelson has the lead with catches at 51 for 929 yards and 6 touchdowns. Where is Julio Jones? Julio Jones, though. 37 catches, 790 yards, 9 touchdowns. He might not... he's got more touchdowns right now. And I think that's the only thing separating them. Jordy Nelson's got more receptions, more yards, but 3 less touchdowns. And in the end, it's going to come down to who puts up the most touchdowns, because yards and receptions doesn't matter as much as those touchdowns. Jordy Nelson is averaging 18.2 yards per catch, while Julio Jones is averaging 21.4. So even though he's not putting up the yardage, he's getting it on a more yards per catch, more touchdowns. I think Julio Jones, if he keeps outpacing him on touchdowns, it's his award to win. Let's see. What else do we got? Best offensive lineman. We got Joe Staley, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Josh Sitton. This is an award that you don't really see much changing after they announce the initial guys, unless Joe Staley gives up a bunch of sacks. When they put out the number 1 guy, it usually goes to him. Defensive line, it's got to be Vic Beasley. He's put up double-digit sacks as a rookie. He's the only defensive lineman in the NFC right now with double-digit sacks. It's going to be hard to beat him. A linebacker, Luke Kuechly. He just shuts down the middle of the field. I really don't see anybody. Maybe Paul Warlow, if he starts having some monster games, could creep up in there, but right now Luke Kuechly's got a firm hold on it. Defensive back, we've got Orlando Scandrick, Trey Boston, Desmond Trufant, Camille Ishmael, and Morgan Burnett. Morgan Burnett at 5, he's pretty much in there because he scored 2 touchdowns. I don't think he's got any kind of impact on there. It's nice to play, it's nice to be in the conversation, but I think that's just it. He's just in the conversation. I think it goes down to the top 3. Whoever has the better second half of the season is going to win this award. Best kicker? This is very volatile. One kicker could miss a bunch of kicks, and right now it's kind of telling that most of the best kickers are on the offenses that have the most trouble getting into the end zone. So it's hard to call that race. All right, really? AFC?
All right, the AFC for Offensive Player of the Year. It's really, a lot of great players. You see Tom Brady, #1. He's actually in the MVP, leading the MVP, if I am correct. And then we have Peyton Manning, who's just having a great year. 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And CJ Anderson is getting in the mix, along with 2 rookies, Melvin Gordon and TJ Yeldon. You don't really see rookies going in for Offensive Player of the Year so much, unless they're being used effectively and often. For Defensive Player of the Year, we have Devin McCourty having a great year. Getting tackles, getting some interceptions, and even, I believe, getting some sacks as well. We have Reggie Nelson, we have Jamie Collins, Brian Cushing, who's just a stud, and Brandon Marshall, who, doesn't really do much, but he's like you said about Morgan Burnett, he's just happy to get in a conversation. Offensive Rookie of the Year has to go to Melvin Gordon. He's getting used effectively and often. TJ Yeldon, he's getting some touches too. Brashad Perriman, he's a fast receiving threat. Has a few touchdowns, and he's just all around a great player. And well, it's kind of odd to see Amari Cooper on the bottom of this list, because many people expected him to be that Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes...
If I may, Amari Cooper, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the 4-game losing streak.
That is another thing to look out for. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Kevin Johnson, he's just been a stud. Denzel Perryman, again, a stud. PJ Dawson, don't know this kid, but he's been playing very effectively. You see on the bottom of the list, you see Bud Dupree. Probably because of that defense is not playing up the how it should be, but he's getting into the conversation along with Sequence Golson. Best quarterback goes to Tom Brady, and there's a name you do not see in here, and that is Peyton Manning. As 2D has said earlier, it's probably because he's not throwing the ball that often, and he's only 14th in the league in yards. So Peyton Manning not really getting into the conversation for best quarterback, but
I think it's more. Guys are. If I may, I think he just hasn't met the baseline requirements to be in this award race. Once he's hit that, I expect him to be #1.
I mean, that could very well be true. But right now, it's basically Tom Brady getting all these accolades right now. Joe Flacco also in there, having quite a tough year with his team, but he's still making it done with yards and touchdowns. Andy Dalton is in there, Andrew Luck, and Johnny Manziel. That's really odd for me to see him there, but he's actually doing really good this year. Best running back has to go to CJ Anderson. CJ Anderson, second in yards, like 10 touchdowns, and he leads the league in carries. So he's getting the ball. And then, 2 rookies, TJ Yeldon, Melvin Gordon, LaShawn McCoy, who recently moved from the Eagles to the Bills, he's getting some touches too. And then Justin Forsett, who was one of the standouts last year, he's still in that conversation. Best wide receiver has to go to AJ Green. AJ Green is a monster. He's a touchdowns, catches, receiving yards. I believe he's averaging over like 20 yards per carry or per touch. I'm not really sure. Demaryius Thomas, he doesn't have that many receiving yards. He has quite a few catches, several catches, but he has 9 touchdowns.
Speaking from
Peyton
experience,
Manning.
he is a monster to try to cover. No matter what we threw at him, Demaryius Thomas could just go and get the ball.
Julian Edelman, one of the best slot receivers around, he's in there. T.Y. Hilton, he's in there. Really good deep threat. Emmanuel Sanders is even in there, and he also has 9 touchdowns. So he's somebody to watch out for. Best offensive line, Joe Thomas. Really, really standout player here. Probably was one of the reasons why Johnny Manziel is getting best quarterback nod is because Joe Thomas is there keeping him upright. Marshall Yanda, another great stud. Evan Mathis, a pickup that the Broncos, just thought they needed to do to help this young offensive line, and he's really standing out. Nate Solder, one of the best, and then Orlando Franklin, blockers in the game, and he's keeping Melvin Gordon going. Best defensive line, Jabal Sheard, really versatile player here. Carlos Dunlap, another guy who's just a monster. Mario Williams, we all know Mario Williams' ability. He gets after the quarterback, and that is his bread and butter. Cameron Wake, he's been a stud too. And then Jonathan Newsom, who's a rising star on that Colts defense. Best linebacker, Brian Cushing. Just like Luke Kuechly, kind of similar, build and similar style of play. He just gets after the ball. He's everywhere. Von Miller, he hasn't gotten that many sacks this year. Only 3, leads the team, but he's a good all-around. He's a good all-around player in coverage and in run stopping ability. Demario Davis, really stud linebacker for the 2-6 Jets. I believe he has had a couple interceptions as well. Ryan Shazier, really stud linebacker who was a number 1 pick last year, and this year he's just anchoring that line, or the linebackers. And then Jamie Collins just gets after the quarterback no matter what you do. One of the best guys around. Defensive backs, Devin McCourty. Is there any question? Like, really? Reggie Nelson, Logan Ryan, Kevin Johnson, a rookie, and then Eric Weddle. Eric Weddle is one of those players that you just have to throw away from, because he can get after the ball. He can go anywhere. Best kicker, Dan Carpenter. He's just clutch. Jordan Gay, really good kicker for the Chiefs. And then Brandon McManus. I mean, like you said, it depends on who really misses the most field goals or makes the most. But right now, these guys are practically perfect. So, and that's it for the awards. Let's talk about a couple players to look out for this week. Who are your top 3 players to look out for in games this week?
Let's see. Sadly, we can't say anybody from the amazing Falcons because they're on the bye week.
You're here.
I think Jordy Nelson's going to have a monster game against the Lions. Let's see. Des Bryant should have a big game against the Buccaneers. And I think Peyton Manning will have a big game against the Chiefs, getting the ball out through the air.
I like all those choices, but one of the guys that I think will be, very integral is, let's see. I agree with Jordy Nelson. I'm not gonna lie. Jordy Nelson's gonna have a huge game. I'm thinking defense though. I'm thinking Patrick Peterson will get, I wouldn't say get interceptions, but he'll slow down the Seattle offense. So Seattle might want to stay away from Patrick Peterson, or throw some of those drags, just trying to get him off settled, and then, I think Peyton Manning will have a great game, but I'm actually going for C.J. Anderson. I think he'll run all over this Chiefs defense, even though, stud defense, with Justin Houston, with Derek Johnson, all these great players, but I just think C.J. Anderson will have a great game, probably a couple touchdowns.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to call it for?
I think that's it. That's all that I have. I know that we'll be back next week. We'll go, basically run down
Week 10 and 11, and look to the future.
Yeah, and see how Week 12 will shape up here. And hopefully, at some point by then, maybe we'll get more of a clear picture of the playoff pick, the playoffs, and of the teams that may need to search elsewhere.
Well, this has been Around the League Week 10. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
All right, this is Relicris.
This
see you
is
guys
2D.
next week.
Maybe it is.